What's up, guys, and welcome to Talkoffame. I'm Kylie Montigney, and there's so many interviews happening lately that I'm so excited to share. But other than that, I'm welcoming singer-songwriter Nobody Likes You Pat, who's coming out a new EP on September 23rd, and this came out a new single on June 30th called Dear God. I'm so excited to learn more about his EP and his songwriting career. And Pat, thank you so much for coming on and taking the time. How are you today?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm doing fine. I'm just in the studio today working on some other music and yeah, just taking a few minutes here to chat with you. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And so, like, how old were you, like, when you began, like, your career in music?
Um I started writing my own songs probably around, I don't know, 13 or 14. And as you might expect, they weren't very good. But I just kind of there was something about the idea of creating my own something of my own, not necessarily like doing piano lessons or playing other compositions. Like there's something about creating something for myself that I really latched onto early in my life, and that hasn't changed. But yeah, I don't know. I started playing in bands in high school, probably 14, 15. Played around the Twin Cities in Minnesota where I grew up. And yeah, I just kind of kept going from there and never stopped. And my career has changed a lot over time, kind of how different types of music, different approaches to it. But overall, I think my love for making something out of nothing has not changed. So, I'm still doing it, you know, 15 years later. So,
Ooh, like, who was, like, your favorite artist at the time when you started out in high school and stuff?
um, I listened to a lot of different stuff, but I would say I mostly kind of like a lot of my friends back in the mid 2000s. A lot of pop punk and emo music was big then in my circles, or like different types of like hardcore or metal. So I actually, a lot of the bands I played in high school were more kind of in that space of like, pop punk or like pop rock, or I was in like a couple different, or at least one different like screamo band. And I haven't done that in a long time. I don't think my voice could take it anymore. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the thing that, like, true though, because, like, after a while, like, his voice just gets so, like, tired over time of singing that type of music over time, even
oh
though
yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I also probably wasn't doing it properly at the time, and so I blew out my voice so many times just because I was just abusing it. So, yeah, I don't think it could hold up anymore. So I stick to much softer stuff these days. So
And, like, you're coming out with a new EP called Dear on September 23rd. Like, tell us more about that.
yeah, I typically like to put together more of like a project versus just writing individual songs. And so I kind of went in to, with my label, they wanted me to do a shorter project, like an EP. And so I was trying to figure out what I could say in just a handful of songs. And so I just kind of went to the simple idea of love letters, like something pretty, nothing groundbreaking, but I just wanted to write a bunch of very like simple, holistic, relationally based songs, kind of in the form of love letters towards different people in my life. So whether it was, my kids, my wife, my friends, God, whatever. Um, it was just kind of a more of a way to simplify from putting out my first Nobody Likes You Pat album last year, and kind of just get back to basics of songwriting and acoustic guitars and simple sounds, and just really focus directly on the stories being told in the songs. So yeah.
Ooh, that sounds pretty good. Like, I'm so excited because, like, when you, like, hear that type of music, like, you, not a lot of, like, artists usually write songs or even EPs or albums about their family or their personal relationships. Because like you don't hardly see that, especially in 2023. Like, from my experience, you basically don't really see that a lot, but to see you doing that is actually amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I I think it's important to write things that are real to your day-to-day experience, because I think then it comes off the most honest and the most it just translates the best, and then that way other people can listen to that and find something in it for themselves. If you're writing something that isn't like, I know this word's kind of overused, but if you're writing something that isn't like authentic, quote unquote, to yourself, then I feel like it's harder for people to really, latch onto that and feel kind of what they're meant to feel from the music. So yeah, that's always been my approach to it. So
Yeah, basically, if even if it's like a song meaningful to you, like you do not know if it's gonna be meaningful to the people that are listening to the music, right? Because of course, like you have to think like, okay, well, this song is meaningful to me, but would the song be meaningful to people that's listening to it?
right, I agree, and I definitely see music as I've done this career for a while now, and or for much of my life, and as I've got, getting a little older, different season of my life, I see music a little bit more as a service to other people versus just self fulfilling, like, oh, I'm just going to make something that I just feel so great about. I mean, I do that, like I'm not going to put something out that I don't feel very confident about or that I think is reflective of my style and personality, but I also see it as a means of uh how is this going to affect someone else, like how can this be helpful to someone else as well. So
That's so awesome. And like, what is like the overall like hope for this album when it's released?
I mean, I think just essentially that I hope that I was, transparent and um very open about my life and my experiences and my relationships within the songs, and then I hope that other people can kind of resonate with whatever aspect of those songs they do, and that it gives them something to latch onto and something meaningful for them. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, I think every project, that's just my hope, is that I write something that hits someone in the right way and leaves some sort of impact on their life. So
I feel like that's like most of the songwriters' hope though, because like when you're writing songs, you also want to do this to inspire yourself, but you want to inspire others with your music, no matter if it's like sad, fun, maybe dancing at some points, depending on what your style of music is and what you like to write. But it's like, especially with even outside music, like maybe it's like acting or journalism or something. I feel like everyone's or most people's goal is to make other people happy besides yourself who like make a basically like a middle meditation towards your work, basically.
totally, yep, I agree. I think that's usually, probably for a lot of people, is the starting point of why they get into a certain artistic craft or field. And then unfortunately, with kind of how different industries function, sometimes there can be other things that get in the way of that, whether that's, all of a sudden it becomes about, oh, I want to make X amount of money, or I want to be this amount famous, or I want people to respect me this much or whatever. And it's not that those things in and of themselves are wrong or bad, but it's just that those can become a distraction from the point of art or music, which is to create something that affects other people. I don't think that art should be simply a self-serving pursuit. Uh, it should be something that is meant for the good or the challenging of other people in some way. So
Because I know like with a lot of people, like m music is like a lot of people's like happiness in some way. I know for me, music is a huge sort of my like life whether it's like while you're going through a rough time, I put like earpods on, or you even start dancing to music. Like whether you
Yep.
do that or go on a walk and listen to music or listen to your favorite artist or whatever it is. Like I know with music, it can play a much valid role in people's lives, no matter if you're a teenager, a kid, or an adult. Like how no matter how old you are, it's like it can be a much bigger source than you can really expect it when you really use music.
Totally. Yep. I agree. And I think that's why it's important that people make it, uh, people who are making it are, yeah, doing their best to make something that is impactful in whatever way. It doesn't always have to be some deep emotional thing. It can just be like fun or like, so I think knowing what you're creating in the moment, like sometimes it's just, oh, I'm gonna just write something that feels good, and I just want people to like enjoy this in some way, whether it's like bittersweet, sad, whether it's fun, dancing, whatever. Like I think there's purpose and meaning behind just writing songs that other people can enjoy in a simpler way. And then there's also times to write songs that are like, I'm gonna get really surgical with these lyrics and really, make a point. But it all has value, I think. Yeah.
Right. And like, how does Dear God feel fit into the new EP?
Um, yeah, I mean, so my faith is kind of the cornerstone of my life. And, and like I said, this is an EP of songs about different relationships. And so, a core relationship for me is my relationship with God. And so I hadn't written too much about that in, at least with the Nobody Likes You Pat project, which is, I've only done the Nobody Likes You Pat thing for about, yeah, I don't know, a little over 2 years. So I touched on some of the topic of faith and belief on my album, but I just thought it wouldn't make sense for me to write a group of songs about relationships if I didn't include that very pivotal one. And so, yeah, I think I tried to approach it in a way that was, genuine to my uh, faith and belief, but also I wanted it to be a song that maybe people who don't hold any sort of religious faith, or people that don't, are unsure or whatever, like that they could also resonate with the concept and the feeling of the song. Which is kind of an interesting line to try to ride. Being honest with where, how I'm expressing it, and then also leaving it a little bit open so that other people aren't feeling like displaced if maybe they don't share the same ideas. And so, yeah, that was just kind of the gist of it. So,
And like, if you could describe the EP in one word, what would it be?
um, one word that comes to mind is like holistic,
Mm.
um, which might be a weird way to describe music, but I think, yeah, just holistic in the sense of it's lyrically holistic and real and kind of earthy. Musically, it's pretty stripped back, down to earth. Um, there's some lightness on it. There's some sadness on it. Yeah, it's just, I feel like it's a full picture, and it's very grounded in reality. So I think, yeah, maybe holistic would be a good word.
Ooh, that's a good word. Like with me and my mom, like she would describe herself as a big holistic person. So I think this app will be actually perfect for her based
Great.
off her personality and everything. But how is like the EP kind of like I know you kind of explained this a little bit earlier in the interview, but how is this EP kind of dedicated to your family?
Yeah. Um, I mean, I've written a lot of songs about my wife and kids, or my wife or my kids, whatever. Um, I yeah, I mean, it's obviously easy to write love songs. It's easy to write that sort of thing, but I hadn't really dabbled in writing songs about my kids until the last couple of years, just because I always thought, like, how do you write that in a way that still feels like good and like not cheesy or corny or like ostracizing to people who are younger or who don't have kids or whatever. So I try to approach those songs in a way that are still a little open-ended, that other people could interpret them to be about someone or something else in their life that's important to them, but while still like being true to what the song is about for me. And honestly, I have some weird family dynamics, like in my, like with parent relationships, and there's some damage there from over the years, and so I have found a lot of my friendships to be very family-like in my life, when maybe my biological family or my family that I was in growing up maybe had a lot of issues. And so I consider some of my close friends to be just as vital as family. And so like and I wrote a song on the EP about my friends as well, and I like, because I think friendship can kind of be downplayed as like, oh, it's just friends, like friends come and go, and like that's true, but um I think friendship is kind of a core type of relationship. Like even within a romantic relationship, if friendship is not the foundation of that relationship, it's probably not going to last too long.
Mm-hmm.
Or even within family members, like I don't really like the phrase blood is thicker than water. Like when people are like, oh, we're family. It doesn't matter if we don't like each other. We got to spend time together on holidays and stuff. And I'm like, I just don't really line up with that. It's not that I don't value my family or like seek to reconcile bad situations, but I also just think, you know, to be family with someone is to also just, it doesn't matter if you're related by blood. It's to be there for them, that they're there for you through deep suffering, through the best of times in your life, whatever that is. Like I just think that is what it means to be, you know like part of someone's life, like in a big way. And so um yeah, I guess that deviates a little bit from the question, but I think, yeah, I see family as bigger than just my direct family. I see it as like a bigger part of the community that I'm in. So
Yeah, that is so well said. Because like when you have a bunch of family and friends, like you might not get along with everyone, of course, but it's like of course there's still blood by being related. But of course, like you go rough times, whether it's losing a family member or someone sick or you're just going through a rough time mentally, like that's kind of a time where a family member, whether it's like your parents, sibling, aunt, uncle, cousin, or even a close friend, like a close friend to consider family, um, to be there for you, because that's really what family and friends are really for. Because like of course they're there to love you like every time in your life since you're born, but of course you like want to be there for them no matter how old you are, whether you're like you're an adult or a teenager or a kid, no matter how
mhm,
you are. And like of course when you have those close friends, like of course people always say like, oh, friends come and go, but family always stays together no matter how old you are. And of course there's some friends that go away and stay at
mhm,
some points and leave, but there are probably one or two people that probably stay in your life for until you're an adult and
yep,
until you're getting older. And basically like
totally,
when you have those like set of friends that you have for the rest of your life, you're like, okay, well, I don't really see my friends anymore. Like I kind of consider them more family than friends since I've only seen them maybe multiple times a week, for example. And I knew him since I was maybe 5 years old, and like I just see him really usually as family. And that's really an example because like when you consider them as family, you're like you're basically stuck with me for the rest of my life type of thing.
right, yep. I have some friends that I've been friends with for, over 15 years. And, obviously there's ebbs and flows of life. And sometimes you're closer, sometimes you're not, sometimes someone moves away, whatever. But I have a few close friends that I'm still very, very, very close to, 15 plus years later, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. And so that's kind of yeah, to your point, I think it's those types of friendships are pretty rare, but when you have them, I think those are very like important and like vital relationships to have.
And like, what do like your different relationships mean to you mentally and physically?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we touched on a lot of that in some of the other questions. But yeah, I think different relationships play a different role in your life, and
Hmm.
in the way you relate to other people as well, like the way, you know, also, that affects different people in different ways, how you're involved in their life. And so, you know, like uh like a romantic or relationship or a marriage or whatever is going to play a different role in your life and you in their life versus like your relationship with your kids or your parents or distant family or friends or yeah even your relationship to yourself, like how you like learn to understand yourself. I one of the lyrics on one of the songs on this EP that I think, I don't know how I came up with it, because it's not like I'm not like sometimes lyrics just come to you and you realize like, oh, that's really profound, but it's not because like, oh, I'm so profound and smart. It's just like an idea comes in such a simple way and you're like, oh, it feels like that was like given to me to say.
Hmm.
And the lyric is, you can't really know yourself till someone knows you more. And I think that kind of sums up that thought of like, we need people. Like we can't exist alone. We can't exist in a vacuum. We're not meant to be like these like lone wolf creatures. Like we are meant to exist in relationship to one another. And there's a lot of different types of relationships. But I think at the core of that, it's like you know, we're meant to receive love from other people and care from other people, and we are meant to provide that to other people in different ways. And that's just kind of really one of the crux things about being a person. I really think that that's how we learn more about ourselves. That's how we learn more about other people. That's how we learn how to be more empathetic. That's how we learn just more about anything really, is through others. So
I feel like we learn more from others than we learn from ourselves, though, in full
oh,
honesty.
100%. I mean, you can't, yeah, you can't really learn anything just in a vacuum, like, or, in a bubble. Like you it everything we learn is pretty much from someone else, or a relationship we have. Yeah.
Exactly. And like the last thing I have for you is, what is some advice for upcoming singer and songwriters?
um I think, I mean, my advice has kind of always shifted and changed a little bit over the years, but overall, I honestly just think like, just write stuff that you think you'll still like in 10 years. Like, don't write something just because it's popular right now. Don't write something just because, you're trying to say something that, you know, goes viral or whatever. Like, not, just write things that you actually think and that you actually want to say, and try to write them in a way that you think that maybe in 5, 10 years you'll still think it's good. And
Because like you don't want to like write something just because it's popular or to make yourself grow as a person or to grow like your fan base. Like it's only ready for you. If it goes viral, perfect, it goes viral. But
sure,
but like
totally.
it's
Yep.
I just feel like the definition of viral or fame always kind of gets to people at some place, just to
Hmm.
kind of get that fame and freedom to have not everyone knows them. But fame does not is not always a good thing. Trust me, it does not
No,
always.
it's not. And I, you know, I think that it's hard, especially for younger artists and songwriters who, and it's not like I've ever had some massive hit or anything, but I've done this for a long time and I've had my successes and failures, and I know for a fact that, you know, when something goes well, or you get something that you felt like you achieve something that you've wanted to achieve for a long time or whatever it is, and you finally do achieve it, it feels good for a little bit, and then that wears off, and then it's, what's the next thing I need to do? Because I don't think we are meant to be like fulfilled by any of those feelings
Mhm.
ultimately. And so yeah, I think, I remember when I was younger, those are things I struggled with heavily because I was trying to find identity and purpose in like people respecting my work or people knowing who I was, and it's just not, it doesn't hold up. Like, it, even if you do achieve some of those things, like, it just doesn't fill that part of yourself that truly needs to be filled. And
Mhm.
so yeah, I think, maybe I would also give a caution to young artists or songwriters, like, don't put your stock in that. Like, don't put your stock in trying to be somebody, trying to make X amount of money, trying to whatever. Like, just enjoy the fact that you get to create things out of thin air that cause an emotional reaction to other people. And uh, you know, take a minute and think about when you're 70 years old or whatever, like however old, and think, what do I really want to be? What do I want to be known as? What do I want to be known for? Do I just do, what do I want the people close to me to know? And I really don't think most people are going to be thinking about, like, oh, I need to know that I put this much money in an account, or I was this famous, or I was this, this respected for my craft or whatever. I think ultimately most people in their most honest moments are going to say, kind of to tie it back to the whole point of this EP or whatever, like, most people are going to say, I want, when I'm towards the end of my life, I want people to have felt cared for and loved by me, and I want to feel cared for and loved by other people.
Mhm.
And you know, again, you can't put a price on that. You can't put a achievement sticker on that. Like, that's a lifelong process. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is seriously exactly well said. Because like when you are older and you're sick or whatever it is, like when you think about that process, when you're like, oh, what do I want to be known for by my family or friends, or even if you're like are like big or famous or whatever, or by my fans, for example.
sure.
Like you like sometimes you want to be known for your work, but your fans, it's probably your work.
Hmm.
But like for your family and friends, you probably want to be known as a person that is loving and great with kids and is funny and cares about everyone, is very kind. Like
Right.
that's kind of like the definition of kind of like what you sometimes you want to be known for. I know for me, I want to be known for that. Like I, of course, I'm older. I'm like, okay, I'm only 16 years old. Like who's gonna listen to a 16-year-old? But it's like when you want to basically be known for something, it's like you have to be specific into like what you want to be known for, not just like, oh, I wrote this hit song that came out like 5 years ago and
Right.
it went
Yep.
viral. Like I'm just gonna let this song be known for. But it's like, do you really want to be known for one song that was viral, other than the maybe 100 songs that you wrote during your career? Like, do you
Right.
really want to be known for that this one song that you wrote? How about be known for how hard you worked or how passionate you are for your work?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I want to thank you so much, Pat, for coming on and taking the time. It's so appreciated. And you actually are very inspiring and inspired me during this whole interview. So I really appreciate you taking the time, and thank you everyone for listening. And I hope everyone is enjoying their day and week. And yeah, thank you so much, Pat, for coming on. Everyone go check out his new EP coming out soon. And yeah, thank you so much, Pat.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course, have a great rest of your day.